Why does it take so many firefighters to put out one house fire? All right, so first of all, this video comes from Cleveland and Northeast Ohio firefighting videos. He has an awesome channel that captures all sorts of footage from all over Northeast Ohio, primarily Cleveland Fire, so I definitely want to give credit where credit's due. I'll put a link to his channel down below with the full link to this video in the description. Next, as with all of these, let's do a quick size up. There is some free burning fire out of the back side of the house. You saw from the first few seconds, you saw that going on. This looks like it is a balloon frame duplex. There's a lot of these in Northeast Ohio. This looks like your standard up and down, and most of these are laid out the same way. But the thing that you might run into with a house like this is most of these are owned by landlords, and the people that occupy them are renters. Obviously not always, but many times that's what you get. And most of these are laid out similarly in that one of these two doors is usually going to have a staircase that just goes straight up to the second unit. And then the back side of the house will have a shared staircase with a shared basement. Now, it looks like there is a third floor depending on what the landlord does. Sometimes they'll finish that out and make it a triplex, and it'll be in its own little efficiency up there. But typically this is just a duplex. So just know that going into it. Some of the hazards that you see, obviously the ice and the snow. This is on a snowy day. We get this a lot in Northeast Ohio. But also these low-hanging power lines that are right in front of this house. There's a tree. Just some things to think about. Some of the other houses are close, so always be aware of those things. Be aware of some of the explosions, some of the hazards that you'll show up on scene. All right, so something else I hear from a lot of people, and this is a comment I get from a lot of people overseas apparently, but just people in general, is that these guys are going way too slow. And are they going slow? Maybe. I think they're being a little bit more methodical about it personally. If you've never fought a fire in snow and ice, it's much more difficult to move around than you would think. Is that making an excuse? I don't think so. I know some guys at Cleveland Fire. I know some people that have retired from Cleveland Fire. Everyone that I know that has worked there has been a phenomenal firefighter and really knows their stuff. It's much more difficult than you would think to move. The next thing is based on the smoke conditions, it looks like there is probably a line around the back and that somebody has already begun to get water on this fire. I know that some of the comments that people say it's too slow to get water on fire, too slow, no hustle, any of that kind of stuff. I think that these guys are probably being a little bit more methodical about it. I'm sure somebody's going to jump on me in the comments and tell me that that's not the case and they should go faster, and that's fine. But another question I get from a lot of people is, why are there so many firefighters on the fire ground for just one house fire? And that's a good question. And with big cities like this, they're typically broken into three different groups: engine companies, ladder companies or truck companies, and then rescue companies. They each have their own specific job. If you're new to firefighting, an engine company, in the simplest terms, their job is to put water on the fire. They're the ones with the hoses. They go find the seat of the fire and put it out. Ladder companies do things that are more related to search and rescue, ventilation, things like that. And rescue companies are kind of a combination of both. They're kind of a jack of all trades. Every place is a little bit different what they have them do. But all three of these companies are usually, and again, it depends on where you work, dispatched to every house fire or any sort of structure fire that's going on. So you're going to see a lot of different firefighters. Is that good? Yeah, it's definitely good. It's a luxury that a lot of large fire departments have that a lot of smaller suburban and rural fire departments don't really have. Sometimes they really struggle for manning, but that's why here in a little bit you will see a ton of firefighters firefighters walking around here, and they have specific jobs. And when they're in there, they rotate through firefighters. A crew will come out, sit out. There will be a RIT team. If you're unfamiliar with what a RIT team is, Rapid Intervention Team, you'll also hear it referred to as a RIC team, Rapid Intervention Crew. Their job is to be on standby in case a firefighter is down or there's a mayday or somebody's lost, and they go in and find them. So that's why you see these guys kind of here in a little bit. You'll see them kind of sporadically walking around, and you'll see a whole bunch of them out here shortly. That's the way most of these large departments are set up, and that's how they operate. All right, so you see this guy on the front breaking out those windows on the second floor. Now, there's a lot of schools of thought on this. Some people in the original video said that that was a terrible idea and he should not have been doing that. Other people thought it was a good idea. For the basics, to break it down, there's generally two types of ventilation. Vertical, straight up, and horizontal, out of your windows. My guess is the reason that he was probably doing this was for a secondary egress and possibly to ventilate, but I don't really think that it was necessary or a good idea. And the reason being, if you see kind of on, it would be the Bravo side, the side of the house facing us, it looks like those windows are already gone. And later on in the video, you will see that they're on the other side of the house, the side that we can't see right now. Those windows are already gone, and those windows have already been laddered for secondary egress. Again, I really hesitate to do Monday morning quarterbacking on fire videos just because I know Cleveland sees a lot of fire and they know what they're doing. Was it a bad idea to do that? I don't know. I wasn't there. There's a lot I didn't see. There's a lot I don't know. But generally speaking, if you do have free burning fire like this and you already have windows that are open for ventilation and secondary egress, if there's no other place for secondary egress, right, that's important. You need to do that. Generally, it's not a good idea. You'll see here, you will see the smoke conditions definitely change coming out of the front. Was it a result of this, or was it just a result of the fire already burning? I don't really know, but in my opinion, in this situation, I probably wouldn't have taken those windows. I would have just used what was already open on the side. That's something you don't see very often as a firefighter, taking photos of the house while it's on fire. All right, so one other thing I want to point out here, if you look at the smoke that's coming out of that front window, you notice over the last few minutes, it has gotten darker, it has gotten thicker, and it has gotten heavier. I did another video all about flashover and things to look for, but there's generally 3 key ingredients you look for with flashover. That's that thick, heavy, dark smoke like you have here. That's a lot of fuel to ignite. free burning fire, which I'm assuming you still have going on somewhere in the back. Doesn't look like it's fully out, so there's that. And all of that free burning fire in that intense high heat is probably going on. Obviously, we're watching a video. We can't really see or feel how hot it is, but here in a few seconds, you will see that this room will flash and all of this smoke will ignite here shortly. So remember, anytime you see something like this and you have those three key ingredients, it doesn't automatically mean it's going to happen, but just be aware of that there's a high potential that a room might flash. So the last thing I want to mention in this video is in the comments, some people were giving the ladder operator a hard time and saying that he shouldn't have even set up. Again, I don't want a Monday morning quarterback. I don't know why they do things the way they do in Cleveland or how they do them, but I know their experience and I know that they're good and they know what they're doing. Me personally, I wouldn't have used the ladder. I think it's just not worth it. It's too tight. You've got that tree and you've got those power lines. There were also some people kind of might see something like this and get freaked out that this ladder is touching the power lines. Usually the lower lines are cable and telephone lines and the higher lines are the more power lines. So generally he's going to be okay doing what he's doing, and you'll see him later on in the video. If you want to watch the full thing, he goes out on the ladder, but he's setting this up as possibly a secondary egress, but also possibly to put a stream of water into that fire. They'll have somebody from the ground to begin to do that here shortly. But again, I think he's doing a good job in a really tight spot in a really tough situation. Some people were talking about outriggers not out properly. Again, these are old neighborhoods. These are tight streets with low-hanging power lines and lots of trees. That's a ladder operator's nightmare as far as getting that in there. So I think he's doing a good job. But again, as always, if you found this useful and helpful, give this video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.